Hello there, and thanks for tuning in to another insightful episode of Teen Talk, where we will have Keira and Summer discussing the mission, meaning, and topics related to the community of Lighthouse, as well as BSU's discussion on the Black Panther Party with myself, Tori, and Keira.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lighthouse.
So last week we talked about coming out and how to kind of make that decision and when it's a good time, when it's a safe time to do that, and how to have a plan in place so that you can keep yourself safe. And kind of going along with that theme of keeping yourself well and safe, we're going to talk a little bit about self-care this week.
I know one of the things and like the safety plan that we kind of talked through last week was coping skills. It kind of goes hand in hand with taking care of yourself and all of that. So yeah, I guess I'll start off with just some things that I do to take care of myself and to keep my mental health sane. So especially right now, I know that everything's kind of just hectic and things are opening and closing and school is out and the school year is wrapping up and then it's going to be summer, but it's not like a normal summer. So it's kind of there's a lot happening, and like it's incredibly valid to be feeling all kinds of ways about this whole situation in general, whether that's anxious or you may be happy that you don't have to be at school anymore. There's so many feelings and you're allowed to feel all your feels. So I know I'm feeling a lot. So a lot of the things that I know we touched on this a few weeks ago, but like I'm also in school, so I kind of understand that, like wrapping up a semester and how it can be pretty like overwhelming, and it's super hard to keep a schedule too, like when you're at home in your own house having a lot of distractions. So I make lists. This is super nerdy of me, but making lists, I'm telling you, is like a big part of my self-care, because if I didn't make lists to hold myself accountable for things, like I'm telling you, I don't know where I would be. So I make lists, and then I like to doodle along the sides of my lists and decorate them and like write them in calligraphy to make them beautiful. So it gives me like a distraction while also like still being like responsible and holding myself accountable for those. I wish I won't get up and grab one, but I have tons of them everywhere. I really love to doodle. I'm awful at it, but like little like rainbows and hearts and like stars, like I doodle on everything I can get my hands on. I've been doing a lot of that, like in meetings I'll sit and doodle. Like it's just great. It helps me kind of bring myself back, especially with everything going on. It helps me kind of focus with things. So yeah, that's like one big thing I love to do, my list and then doodling. Getting outside is so big. Like getting fresh air is like, it's so important, y'all. I'm telling you. I used to hate going outside. I hate exercising, so like that's that's kind of unfortunate. I wish I enjoyed it more, but like just going for strolls, like I love to go in the sun setting, and now it's getting warmer out. Just sitting on my porch, honestly, and like drinking some coffee. It's great. So those are some of the things that I love to do. Keira, what about you? What do you like to do to kind of take care of?
So I really feel you on that going outside part. I thought about even filming outside today, but the Wi-Fi I don't think would work. So I have a window next to me that's big, so I can see there's a park that's right there, so I get to like look at all of the trees and the grass and the green and the sunshine. Yeah, definitely going outside. For me, I like to exercise. For all of you who like need to sweat a little bit to clear your head, that is definitely also a great way to do it. Yeah. And like you said, the arts, like doodling or singing to yourself, or like doing coloring books or watercolors or dancing. See, dancing now doesn't feel like exercise.
That's true.
But it gets your heart pumping, and it might get you sweating, but it's also an art, so it's like a great combo of things. One thing that I'm making sure to do every day is just to take 5 or 10 minutes of quiet time. Just quiet, no devices, no to-do list. I do a to-do list afterwards. But I take my 5 minutes, 10 minutes and just sit and I breathe and I feel like I check in with how my body feels. Do I feel tense? Do I feel like really slouchy and tired? Do I feel like really high nervous energy? Whatever it is, I just check in and say, okay, I'm noticing that. And just take that time to like check in with my body. And then I also do lists. But I do, one good limit for lists is to have them be, sometimes it helps to make a whole list of everything you have to do. But for me, that gets overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And then I just don't do any of it because I'm overwhelmed. So what I do is on the weekend, I'll make 2 goals for myself. They're like 2 specific things. I want to do them every day. And it might be study for a certain amount of time and meditate. Just those 2 things every day. Everything else can change. Everything else can whatever. But I know that if I get those 2 things done, then I'll be pretty okay. And so that just kind of, I have a little checklist across the week. It's very satisfying to fill out. Yes, I meditated. Yes, I did my homework. Yes, I meditated, did my homework. Just taking that time so that it's not too much overwhelming, but there's a little bit of structure. Also, I don't have a pet, but I watch everybody walk their dogs outside my window. So if you have a pet, spend some time with your pet. That's great self-care.
It really is. My dog is like my life. You have no idea. Like he's
yeah.
a lot of my time with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love that idea though, to take a moment and to just kind of like put your phone away and set aside the list and to just like come and like realize and kind of just like sit there and kind of take everything in. I'm going to challenge myself to do that this week. So thank you.
It helps me so much. It's just like quiet.
Because I tend to get myself overwhelmed about like every little thing I have to do. And that's super easy too, especially when like school is ending and you're now at home with your families and there's just so much happening in the world. And like, it's just great to have that moment to kind of just be like, all right, whew.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I want to make a point about, and there's a writer, her name is Glennon Doyle, who just talked about this on her Instagram last week, this week. It might have been Monday. She does a little like Instagram live every Monday about self-care, and that we have there's this kind of society's idea of what self-care is, which is like face masks and fitness and like plucking eyebrows and a spa day and mani-pedis. But somehow like that idea of self-care is all about looking good on the outside so that other people are happy with how you look, which is kind of not self-care, but other people care.
Right.
So one thing that I would add to the challenge for this week is to think about how to go deep with your care. Like it's nice to, sometimes a face mask feels nice. You know, sometimes watching 8 hours of Netflix, it's never felt nice to me, but sometimes it, you know, but see if you can't take it to a deeper level and care for yourself by giving yourself a moment of stillness or listening to your favorite song or your favorite artist, or like soaking up some sunshine or soaking up some rain. Sometimes warm, like summer rain is really nice to stand in, but you know, anything you can do to nourish that deeper like level within yourself.
Absolutely. I feel like it's really important to like point out too that like self-care doesn't have, it's not always putting a face mask on and going to get, you know what I mean? Like self-care looks a lot of different ways, and it's whatever, it looks different for everyone too. Everyone has their own ways things that they do to take care of themselves. So if you're still you just got to try to find your things and no rush in it either. Like I think I've been trying to self-care for probably like 5 years, and only just now, like maybe this year, 2020, have I kind of settled into a rhythm of like, I know what this means. Like I know what I need to do to take care of myself. So if something feels like a good idea and then it doesn't pan out,
that's definitely not a failure. It's an experiment, and you're just like exploring. And the more you get to know yourself, the more you'll be able to find self-care that feels really, really life-giving.
Absolutely. You're so wise. Oh my gosh. I feel like you say these things. I'm like, wow.
I just watch a lot of other wise people and like read their stuff. That's yeah. One thing I do want to mention too is journaling. One way to know yourself is, and then you can keep track. Like if you journal every day and you're like, I tried to do this type of self-care and it was amazing, but I want to change it in this way. Or like, I tried meditation and my brain was so loud and it made me way anxious afterward. Then you, like in your journal, you can say, I'm going to try again tomorrow, or tomorrow I'll try breathing while I'm on a walk, or listening to my favorite song, or, that way you can kind of keep little tabs on what works and what doesn't as you explore who you are more.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. And I know when I first started looking into journaling, I saw these super cool ones you could buy that were done, and you just had to write it in. They had cute little things in there, and I was like, well, I don't really feel like spending that much money on a journal. So I went to Walmart actually and bought this super cheap, it's actually really adorable, little thing that has a strap around it. I don't even know. It's a cute little journal, and I just Pinterest a bunch of cute little templates, and I made them myself. For my journal. So it was a lot of fun doing that too. You don't have to spend money on it, and you can just get something cheap and make it your own.
Absolutely.
Way to kind of keep track of things. So yeah. All right. Did you want to talk about the resource or the graduation?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
So my friends, and now I'm talking specifically to our high school seniors. There's this ceremony. It started on college campuses for LGBTQ college students who are graduating, called a lavender ceremony. And the lavender ceremony is saying, first of all, you got through college, and second of all, you got through being in college and being LGBTQ, and it's just a way of honoring that particular journey. I know that I went through a lavender ceremony when I was finishing up college, and they gave me a lavender stole. It was very beautiful. So this organization, Diverse and Resilient, they have a branch called Room to Be Safe, and they are hosting a Zoom lavender ceremony for college graduates and high school seniors who are graduating. So if you are interested in that, it's just there's going to be some live performances by artists on Zoom. I assume that there will be a speaker, and then you can just go and get honored. And you can drop in, but they're hoping to get RSVPs so they get a sense of numbers. If you are interested in that, go ahead and email the Teen Talk Safe Space email, and we will send you the link to that Zoom or to the Facebook event, which might be more helpful, so you can get some more information about that and log on. It's on May 28th, I believe.
That's awesome. I love how they're doing things to keep seniors connected and stuff too, because it's tough sometimes. I know people are like, oh, it's just graduation, but that's a big deal. It can that is so that's great. All right, I'm also going to add the Trevor Lifeline phone number at the end of the video too. Again, they are an LGBTQ plus lifeline that you can text or call. They can help with all different kinds of things, mental health wise. So I will also plug that. But I think that's all I have.
Yeah, okay. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next Tuesday to talk about more stuff that concerns our community and how we can kind of be navigating the wild world right now.
Yes, thanks for watching, everybody. Tuesday.
Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to BSU. It's Tuesday, May. They already said the day before this. Maybe we should start over.
Yep, don't start. It's on air in 3 weeks. No dates.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yes, we are ahead.
Don't say the date. Just say good morning or hello.
It's evening, not even good morning. It airs at 7.
I'll just say hey. Okay.
Oh, let me.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to BSU. Last week we were talking about Black Panther, the movie, the Marvel movie, and I think we had a great discussion. So if you haven't seen it, head on back, click through, and watch last week's video. This week we are going to talk about the Black Panther Party.
Ooh.
Right?
Got the hat right there.
There's that. Yeah.
Hey.
There we go.
So the Black Panther Party was happening in the 60s during the civil rights movement, but I think we tend to hear less about the Black Panther Party and more about the movement as a whole. So do one of you want to start us off with some dates and facts?
Well, seeing as how California is my stomping ground, homegrown there. Hey. And both myself and my husband's parents were a part of the Black Panther Party. I will kick it off and say that it started in October in 1966 for the same reasons that we are still fighting for equitable circumstances today, for equity for folks in the Black community, wanting ways to keep our community safe, free of police brutality and poor housing conditions, lack of access to food and resources and employment. Black Panthers had a very positive role in our communities in the 60s and 70s. They provided meals to people in the community, the homeless, the people who couldn't afford it. They provided meals to the youth, meals that they made themselves and hand delivered to make sure that we were able to eat as a people, that we were not leaning on the resources of others. The Black Panthers position was really big on we need to uplift our own community and serve our own community so that we can make decisions about what happens in our community. Mm-hmm. So their position really aligns with many points in Kwanzaa that my family celebrates every year and live those principles all year long. I think it's essential that we as a community just band together to support each other. And I think it goes without saying, being pro-Black does not mean you're against non-Black people. It just means that you are in favor of your own community, standing strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You brought up some good points, Dennetra. I kind of want to circle back to the free breakfast program and just talking a little bit about how important it is just to eat breakfast before you go to school in the morning, whether you're eating it at home or you are getting it once you get to school. And just doing a little bit of reading more about the Black Panther Party. I went on Google and just kind of refreshed my memory more about the free breakfast program. Them understanding that, kids need a well-balanced meal before they go to school instead of going to school and skipping breakfast, and then you have to kind of wait till lunchtime and you can't really focus because you're focused more on, how am I or when am I able to go get lunch to get food into my body. So you want to get that morning fuel. And I don't know if you mentioned this, Dennetra, but it was also amazing to just hear people, and I say hear because I watched a documentary again on YouTube, just kind of did some digging around, and one of the documentaries I watched had people that were being interviewed who were a part of the Black Panther Party back when it existed, in Cali, and they were saying they helped out the free breakfast program. It was money out of their pockets that they were cooking for the kids in the neighborhood and kids just around the community. And one lady was saying she was pregnant. She was almost ready to deliver the baby, and she was still up cooking meals for the kids and getting things together. So I thought that was amazing. Amazing to hear that about the free breakfast program, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Another fact.
Yeah, definitely the party was really possibly more dedicated to the well-being and thriving of the Black community than any other organization at the time. And that's something that I really like. And they were very focused in their mission. They had a 10-point program where they clearly outlined what their goals and desires and in some cases demands were of surrounding communities and of the country in general.
And I'm glad you brought the 10-point program up, Keira. And one of our earlier episodes where we talked about colorism, and I think we talked a little bit about the book The Hate U Give and the movie. So if you were able to watch that episode of our content or read The Hate U Give or actually watch the movie, in there, their dad always asked them what's the 7-point on the 10-point program, just constantly having his kids say that back. So I'm going to challenge you all, to go look and see what the 10-point program was for the Black Panthers. And number 7 will ring a bell if you read The Hate U Give, watched our episode, or actually watched The Hate U Give.
Absolutely. There are many points on that 10-point program that I try to apply to my life, and I like to encourage you all to do the same. As Tori said, familiarize yourself with them. Find the points that, ring true for you, that you can strive for and work on, for ideally at least a month, but for the rest of your life, preferably.
Yeah. Something that I think is in some ways beautiful, but in some ways really heartbreaking, is that there are people now who are doing the work of trying to achieve what is on those 10-point programs. And it's powerful to witness these activists and community servants be working so diligently and creatively and innovatively for our community. But it's also kind of heartbreaking that 60 years after the party was founded, those goals have not been met, that we're still struggling as a community with being given basic, human dignity and basic human rights.
Definitely, I agree. I believe I said something like that. If you all caught the first episode, we were talking about BSU and how it began and how disheartening it is that we weren't able to disband because everything was peaches and cream and roses after they originally started it. It is something that we continue to strive for, and that we have to continue to speak up and demand as our right as a human being, not just as a Black American, but just as a human being. These are just basic courtesies, basic human requests that we're making. Not to ask for.
Yep.
And I wanted to add, I don't know if we said who founded the Black Panther Party, the two young men who got the Black Panther Party started. Huey P. Newton, well, to be respectful, he did have his PhD, so Dr. Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale were the two, I guess you could say, co-founders that kicked off the Black Panther Party out in Oakland, California.
More specifically, they actually met in college.
Yes, so they did.
You highlighted that he has a PhD. I don't want anyone to get the impression that they were two thugs that were out there just running amok in Oakland. They weren't. They were two educated Black men. They met at Merritt College, actually, and because of the race riots that occurred in Watts. Yep. That is what made them start up, and say, hey, we've had enough of this. We have to band together as a community and do better.
Though I think it's important to point out that throughout the life of the party, there was a smear campaign, or maybe multiple smear campaigns against them, which definitely did paint them as thugs, made them look like troublemakers, even though they were focused activists who cared deeply about their community. There was a lot of propaganda that made them look really bad.
And not enough focus on the good, in all the research that I was doing to remind myself so I can be knowledgeable. We had our chat and not misinformed. I didn't find anything. All the pages that I opened, there wasn't a single thing that talked about them feeding the community. and the good that they did. It all focused on those negative pieces that was really troublesome for me. Fortunately, I had the knowledge already that I didn't need to look for it, but it's unfortunate that if one was trying to figure that out, without this podcast and without us bringing it to that conversation, you may not get to that. And there's a lot to the Black Panthers, not just what they did in the community, but why they wore that uniform, you know, why they dressed the way they dressed. More specifically, that beret. Mm-hmm. That beret is synonymous with the Black Panther Party. And they got to the point where they had them kids going to school in that beret, y'all. But
nice.
Everybody was wearing that beret. And when a member was interviewed back in the 60s and inquired, why the beret? What's up with the uniform? They said that beret represented the revolution, and that many different folks that were oppressed in other countries, they wore that beret as a way to revolt against what's wrong. And I was like, okay, I need to buy me a beret.
Something that was really cool in terms of appearance about the party too is that they really embraced, one thing they really embraced was natural Black hair, right? That's why we have so many afros, pictures of that time, because they, first of all, were fashion icons and just like brought that into the public eye and the public consciousness, but they were challenging the idea that hair needed to look like European hair in order to be beautiful. They said that the hair as it grows out of our scalps is beautiful and is worthy of being displayed proudly. Yeah. They were really proud and helped, I think, a lot of people in the community become really proud of who they were.
Yeah. And to add to that, what I think is cool to kind of add it into today's world, back, I believe it was during the 2016 Super Bowl, Beyonce was one of the performers, and her and the people that she brought along with her, they had on berets and leather jackets mirroring the Black Panther Party to give kind of like a salute to them on there. I believe it was the 50th anniversary. So she's on a huge stage, the Super Bowl, so many million viewers watching it at home. Then you have Beyonce doing a halftime show outside of her music, but making a public statement, you know, walking out with the fist and the berets on. I believe some of them might have had like their the afros underneath the beret with some leather jackets, and I'm just like, okay, that's nice. So just kind of tying that back part or the history into today's world and how we kind of still see some of the images around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And on a side note, outside of the Black Panthers, in some African cultures, that hair is, and piggybacking on what Keira said, is so essential because it represents the crown, you know, of a woman, you know. So I think, and represents us being Black queens. Hey, so I think that is essential. I love that Keira brought that back up. That it's good for us to walk in our own cultural views of what's beauty and not adopt others. Mm-hmm. And that hair is so important.
Yeah. I actually have a picture of
Hey,
Angela Davis. This is, I don't know if this is backwards or forwards, but Angela Davis was affiliated with the party. She wasn't deeply committed to it, but she was and continues to be a powerful voice for the Black community and still wears the afro very well.
Many of our older Black actors and actresses and artists and celebrities had some affiliation to the party for sure. Who was that we was talking about earlier? Who was it, Keira? You had brought up somebody before we hit record. Who?
Was it Asada? Was it Samuel Jackson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just some of those names that we hear thrown around a lot. There's lots of names. We have a few names that we want to encourage you all to look up and get familiar with some of your history as we exit out. If we could all drop a name, that would be amazing. I am going to go with Shaka Khan. Anybody else?
I would probably say, I'm trying to think. I'm just gonna say Dr. Huey P. Newton. Even though we dropped the name earlier, we gave a little bit of information, but doing some deeper digs with him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would say Fred Hampton, but I would also say Assata Shakur. And you spell Shakur the same way as you would spell Tupac's name.
And before we go and say goodbye and send you off to go do some research for yourself, make sure you check out the Mofer Act while you're at it. Familiarize yourself with some of these historical pieces that you're probably not going to learn in the classroom. And then send us an email. Let us know what you found to be most interesting, and what you found to be something that you could apply to your own life. We love to hear which one of those 10 points that you'll be working on this month. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.
Thanks again for joining us on Teen Talk this evening, where we learned some impactful material that affects the Lighthouse community and some history on the Black Panther Party. We love bringing this to you. We miss you all. From the staff at the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Fox Valley, be well and please be safe.